Hey, what's good, football fans? Welcome back to the channel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. Alright, so for this video, I will be giving out my college football playoff bracket after week 14. Alright, so rivalry week is in the books, and with this bracket, there's not a whole lot of movement. It's pretty much the same. There are some seedings that got moved around, and some teams that were eliminated. Some of them kept their playoff hopes alive and whatnot. So let's go ahead and go right through this. So number one, still Ohio State. They had that big win on the road versus Michigan. For the first time in 4 years, the Buckeyes have knocked off the Wolverines. And so Michigan, even though they had an outside shot, their playoff hopes are now done. So Ohio State will face Indiana in the Big Ten title game, 1 versus 2. I still got Indiana at 2. They had a big win, huge win over rival Purdue. I got Georgia at 3. They beat Georgia Tech in their rivalry game. And then I got Texas Tech at 4. Number 5, I still have Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma had a scare. They had to kind of come from behind a little bit at home versus LSU. And but nonetheless, the Sooners were able to get the win on that big touchdown play. Number 6 was the big loser of this week, and that, of course, was Texas A&M. So Texas A&M, they suffered their first loss of the season, and with that, they are now out of contention in the SEC. They will not be playing in the SEC championship game. That title now goes to Georgia and Alabama. And so, but Texas A&M, they're still a solid playoff team. Number 7, I still got Notre Dame. Notre Dame, they defeated Stanford, and so they have now officially locked themselves into the playoffs. I've still got Oregon at 8. Oregon had a big win against Washington this past Saturday. Alabama 9th. They had a scare too. They faced their rival Auburn in the Iron Bowl. Auburn had a chance to win. In fact, they had multiple chances. They could have won this game, but it just wasn't to be for Auburn. And so Alabama, they keep their playoff hopes alive. And as I just mentioned, they will face Georgia in the SEC title game. I've got Ole Miss at 10. So Ole Miss is interesting. So by now, everybody already knows about the Lane Kiffin news. He's leaving Ole Miss to go to LSU. And, it's a tough situation. Your team just had the best regular season in school history, going to the playoffs for the first time, and then your coach bails on you. And, I don't blame Ole Miss for not allowing Kiffin to coach in the playoffs. I think Ole Miss made the right decision. And so they have a new head coach now with Pete Golding. He gets promoted from within from the defensive coordinator position to head coach of the Rebels. And so we'll see what happens with that. Number 11, I have Virginia. And so Virginia, with their win over Virginia Tech, they now secure a spot in the ACC title game where they will face 5-loss Duke team. Okay. And, that's interesting with all the tiebreaker scenarios and all that kind of stuff. And so Virginia, and they just beat Duke a couple of weeks ago. And so, yeah, the ACC is insane right now. And so Virginia, as I said in my video yesterday, Virginia, this is a must-win not only for them but for the ACC, because if they don't, then there's a very good possibility that the ACC champion will get left out unless Miami gets in as an at-large. That would be the only way that the ACC would have a team in the playoffs. And then number 12, I still have James Madison. They play Troy in the Sun Belt Championship game. I think JMU is the best team among the group of 5. And so my first 4 out is BYU, Texas, Vanderbilt, and Miami. So BYU, they will play Texas Tech in a rematch from earlier this year. They will play them for the Big 12 title game. And, BYU has to win this game in order to go to the playoffs. If they don't, then they're not going to get in as an at-large. Texas, they had that big win versus A&M, giving A&M their first loss of the season. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be enough. Texas, they do have 3 losses, one of which was to a terrible Florida team. And so ultimately, I think that's what's going to keep Texas out of the playoffs. Vandy is still very much alive. And then Miami, I have them just on the outside looking in. And as I said, Miami needs Duke to beat Virginia on Saturday. And if they do that, I think Duke, that despite winning the ACC, would get left out of the playoffs. And I think that would open the door for Miami to get in. And then my next 4 out, these are teams, they clearly have no shot. They're just there. Utah, USC, Arizona, and Houston. And then my group of 5, it's the group of 5 bid. It's basically down to 3 teams. It's down to James Madison, North Texas, and Tulane. And North Texas and Tulane actually play each other this week for the American Conference title. All right, so that is my college football playoff bracket after week 14. What does your bracket look like? Who do you think should be in? Who do you think should be out? Let me know down below in the comments section. And as always, thanks for watching. See you next time.